In the dead of night, a massive cargo ship carrying hundreds of millions of dollars in goods glides through the darkness of the Red Sea. Suddenly, the navigation screens on the bridge begin to glitch. The vessel's GPS coordinates shift violently. On the monitors, the ship appears to have instantly jumped hundreds of miles inland. Flying blind and disoriented by the falsified data, the crew is unable to maintain their course. Without a single shot being fired, the ship runs hard aground. We built the modern global economy on the assumption of seamless trade, but as these maritime systems grow more complex, they reveal a deep and hidden fragility. If you find these deep dives into global systems interesting, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to help us produce more financial documentaries. A multi-million-dollar vessel shouldn't be this easy to disable. This vulnerability is an inherent side effect of a trade network that has prioritized perfect efficiency over security. Over 80% of the world's merchandise trade moves by sea. For decades, the financial world treated this movement as a constant, cheap, predictable, and almost entirely invisible. This map illustrates the reality of that flow. Thousands of global shipping lanes eventually funnel into a handful of geographic bottlenecks, like the Suez, Panama, and Malacca Straits. They function as the major arteries of a global economic heart. In the pursuit of extreme financial efficiency, shipping companies built increasingly massive vessels to achieve economies of scale. These megaships now rely entirely on these specific, narrow routes to stay profitable. The limits of this design became clear in 2021, when the Ever Given became wedged sideways in the Suez Canal, halting 10% of global trade for nearly a week. The entire supply chain was designed for a frictionless world. Now, even a localized physical blockage in one of these straits can trigger a global economic shock. These geographic bottlenecks are being actively weaponized, from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz in 2026 to drone attacks near the Bab el-Mandeb. Passing through these narrow channels now carries an immediate physical penalty. To avoid high-risk zones, ships are taking multi-million-dollar detours around the entire continent of Africa. This adds up to 15 days of transit time and hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra fuel costs per voyage. But physical blockades are no longer the only threat. State actors and hackers have discovered they can achieve the same results by manipulating a ship's digital navigation. This is a diagram of GPS spoofing. Unlike simple jamming, which blocks a signal, spoofing transmits a fake satellite signal designed to trick a ship's receiver, giving the crew a false location. For the crew of the MSC Antonia and others, this created a psychological crisis. The digital tools they rely on implicitly were lying to them, showing their ship jumping across maps and drifting miles away from its true course. Traditional celestial and paper navigation skills have largely vanished due to automation. When the screens fail, modern mariners are often left with no way to independently verify their position. The modern maritime choke point has shifted. It is no longer just a physical gate, but a digital fog where vessels can be effectively hijacked without a single boarder ever touching the deck. Countries are now spending billions to build alternatives to these vulnerable sea lanes. One project is the IMEC corridor, a planned rail and sea bypass designed to connect India to Europe through the Gulf. To the north, Russia and China are utilizing melting Arctic ice to forge the northern sea route, deploying nuclear icebreakers like this one to smash through thick sea ice and create a new link between Asia and Europe. While it offers a shorter route, it carries massive environmental risks and forces global trade to rely on a corridor under strict Russian control. Bypassing foreign waters doesn't solve the problem. Domestic shores face their own operational bottlenecks, as seen in the 2025 U.S. East Coast port strikes. Port operators demanded automated systems to handle massive cargo volumes, while the union fought to protect 45,000 human dock worker jobs from being replaced by technology. Every attempt to escape a geographic choke point creates a new one. The global economy is trading physical straits for a new series of geopolitical, environmental, and labor bottlenecks. The final and most expensive bottleneck in the supply chain is the mandatory environmental transition. The International Maritime Organization has set strict zero-emission mandates for the year 2050. At the same time, European carbon taxes on shipping began taking effect in 2026. This chart shows the financial impact of those regulations. The baseline cost of conventional ship fuel is now being nearly doubled by a massive carbon tax, designed to force the industry toward cleaner energy. These towering cranes and sprawling terminals must now be completely electrified. Transitioning this infrastructure to support zero-emission shipping requires a complete overhaul of port design. The estimated cost to transition the global fleet to green technologies is $1.9 trillion. Measured tone. When you add together war risk insurance, costly cybersecurity overhauls, and mandatory carbon taxes, the era of inexpensive, frictionless shipping has come to an end. Shipping companies cannot absorb these permanent structural costs. They are being passed directly to consumers, creating a new and constant pressure on global inflation. Ships now navigate a taxed, weaponized landscape where every mile through the storm carries a calculated geopolitical and regulatory cost. Global trade has become a series of contested gates. If you think the price of moving goods will ever return to what it once was, tell us why in the comments below.